hit share now.
All right, here we go. We are live. Hopefully everybody can hear us. Yes, we are live. Podcast number 13. Been on vacation for a couple weeks. There we go. It's coming. It's echoing right there. It must have worked. It was coming through your phone.
So it's not being caught live on tape. It's live.
It's live.
Live on tape.
So
too.
any jokes, any clowning that happens, everyone's gonna know.
Let me ask you a question. When you're playing with some children, they're learning golf, and there's a big turtle out in the fairway, and it creates great excitement for the children. And it's not a tournament, and there's nobody in the group behind us. Is it okay to stop and smell the flowers? 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 8-year-old, and 9-year-old. And they thought it would be really fun to play with the turtle, and then ultimately see what would happen if they helped to get him towards the lake so he could jump in and swim. And then they had a moment in their life that they will remember forever. Is it okay to stop and smell the flowers?
Did they smell the turtle?
Probably, because their mom.
Okay, let me ask you another question, because my risk management hat's going on. Was it a snapping turtle?
No, they wondered if it was one of those snapping turtles that you find in the ocean.
Yeah, because if it was a snapping turtle, you definitely don't want to get near that, because it'll eat your finger off.
So we don't think we have snapping turtles in the ponds of Arizona. And Ashley Ramsey, she's the mom who said, nope, that's not it. So she's the expert, and they had a ball with that turtle for about 10 minutes.
Well, I think it's okay. Now it depends. Were these kids, were they training for some important event?
No, they think golf it should be fun. and they were,
well, wait a minute, Ken.
And they weren't training for an important event.
So what you're telling the audience is that golf isn't fun? Isn't it the game of golf?
Some people hit bad shots, and then it becomes sort of like a chore to them. And then when they have penalty shots, the chore gets to be a battle. And then the battle becomes a problem where people have something called anger. And then the anger, sometimes people throw their club in the lake. So I chose, let's have fun with the turtle.
I get it. I remember I shared with the audience several episodes ago that I was an angry Christian golfer, a club throwing, cussing Christian golfer. And I had to repent of that watch one of the previous episodes. I have no idea which one it is. If you haven't been watching, 1 out of 12. There's 12 opportunities to get the right one. But yeah, so speaking of that, Kent, a lot has happened in the PGA. We have a new PGA champion, PGA Scotty Scheffler.
Wow, he's amazing.
He is amazing.
He actually is amazing.
Like what he does, that I know we're working on putting the Scheffler move into my swing. I can't duplicate it. He's been doing it since he was 7 years old, apparently. So
there's certain things in a golf swing that you cannot possibly teach. You can teach what not to do, and some of the things that we see him do, including the way he dances through impact. Some of my friends are saying, "Hey, do you see how he dances through impact? That's not grounded the way you're teaching us." That's not grounded correctly, is it? That's not proper weight transfer, is it? But then they say, and look at Jim Furyk, and look at Miller Barber from the old days with that right elbow issue, and then look at Jack Nicklaus's swing and Lee Trevino's swing, and they come up with a lot of players, and I could name a million, but you really can't find any swings that seem to match the other guy's swing. But they are in charge of 5 things: their club head path, where the club face is at impact, where they hit it on the club face itself, the angle at which the club might be descending or ascending upon the ball based on choice, and they're in charge of what kind of speed they want to put on the club to impact the ball in varying positions so they can flight their ball. They're in charge of their ball flight, and that's the thing. So no matter what a guy's swing looks like, if he's in charge of his 5, Bob Toski called it, I call it the ball flight influences. Bob Toski had a name for it, the ball flight laws. If you're in charge of your ball flight, if a guy's in charge of his ball flight because of the ball flight, obedience to the ball flight laws, man, you better be careful with that guy. And when he won that tournament or that tournament, get some video of that tournament, let's stay there. That's a winner. That's Scotty Scheffler.
So it's interesting. I see a lot of guys like Scotty Scheffler that he's open about his faith. He's wide open. He's a Christian. And what's interesting to me is there's quite a few Christian golfers they're open about their faith. But sometimes they'll get criticized for it. Like Tom Lehman back in the day, he got criticized. And it's like, it's funny because the minute someone announces they're a Christian or is open about that, it's like all of a sudden they're not supposed to be a human being anymore. They're elevated to a higher standard. And I agree that as Christians, we should uphold a higher standard, but we still have this sin nature. We're prone to sin, and we've all fallen short of God's glory. But, there's that tendency, right? There's that sin nature inside of us, like Paul talked about. I do the things that I don't want to do, and here I am, right? He was preaching about being a wretched sinner, even though he knows what he wants to be and what he should aspire. And so, do you think that's fair that these role models, that when they're out there on tour, that they're essentially role models to a lot of kids, a lot of people, and yet then they fall down or they make a mistake? Or Scotty Scheffler, he ended up in jail, right?
At Augusta National. At the Masters. No, here's my thing on that. We've been doing these reels on Instagram and on Facebook and now on YouTube, and it's gone viral. And I'm professing my faith wide open about it because it's a certain kind of a platform that God has blessed me with. And here's the thing. I, in my worldly walk, was in a really good spot, but I got in some trouble. And the trouble became real problematic, and to the point where, from a worldly point of view, I should be dead. But God. So if it wasn't for God, I guarantee you more than once, if it wasn't for God and the power of prayer and the power of the Bible and reading into the Bible purposefully, I would actually not have found a purpose in life. Thus, since this thing I just said, but God, if it wasn't for God, I believe in my heart, I was on my way to going the wrong way. You're either going to heaven or hell. Unless you're maybe believe in create or evolution as opposed to creation, but I don't understand the Big Bang theory could have just suddenly, and in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth, heavens.
It was the Big Bang, but there was a Big Banger.
He was the Big Banger, and I couldn't figure out in the beginning God created. Well, because he was before the beginning, because he always was and always will be. So, and then I started reading the Bible very purposely after my big problems I had in life. And then if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be. And since I am, man, wide open about professing my faith. So Scotty Scheffler, yeah, he probably still makes mistakes in life. I mean, sometimes he hits bad golf shots. He'll admit he shanked one. I'll admit I shanked one too. But that's human error. That's not a sin. That's just maybe something's wrong with the club or the ball or something, or the wind came up in my backswing, something like that. But yeah, we are all sinners and have fallen short of the glory of God. But professing his faith, I think, is a brilliant thing, because I believe what he believes, and I believe what you believe, and I believe pretty much anybody that's following Jesus believes the end of times might be pretty near. And if you're not going to start believing in God pretty soon,
the signs look like it could be.
You're running into a problem.
So there's quite a few guys that are open about their faith, and Bubba Watson and Webb Simpson and Zach Johnson, Christian Kirk.
That's awesome.
I mean, there's so many. That's just Aaron Badley. He goes to Highlands.
Yeah, and so does Tom Lehman go to Highlands.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many guys.
Curry in basketball. I mean, some big time players that they feel it's important for them to use the platform that they're on to make a difference in the world instead of just take the money and run. And
right. Tyrese Halliburton, who's playing in the Eastern Conference Finals for Indiana, like he was on boldly coming out, holding his Bible, saying, "Hey, this is my blueprint. This is what I need to be successful." And it's really powerful. These athletes that are willing to use their platform. Athletes like yourself, coaches, people that are willing to be unashamed about the gospel of Jesus Christ. And we get to chop this up and talk about how golf relates, how our faith relates, how the things in golf, the principles that we learn, how those things like integrity, the life skills, the lessons learned. Golf's the only game where you call penalties on yourself. Every other thing, you've probably thought about that.
Right.
But every other sport, there's a referee that's out there throwing flags or you're,
Professional golf, though, that blimps on you. and there's cameras on you. You don't get to. I mean, you've seen the Patrick Reed got the sand out of his way in the backswing thing. I mean, I believe I'm going to take his word that he didn't notice it, but the blimp did. That's the problem. So, but yes, integrity for the average player who's
sure,
playing golf.
but like they'll show, right, and a lot of times, like it's like if your ball moves from its position, that's a stroke. But if your ball oscillates and goes back, so sometimes people will be at an obscure angle, and if I'm standing over my ball and I ground my club behind it in the grass, and I see a little oscillation. Now they could have a camera angle over there where it looks like it moved, but me as the player, if I see that oscillation but it doesn't move out of its spot, I'm not required to call a penalty on myself.
Absolutely not.
Or I can call a rules official over and say, hey, Mr. Rules Official, I think this oscillated. It didn't move. It didn't fall out of its spot and make a rotation and have that discussion.
Right.
But it's the sport where you're
a replay, but for you or you're playing in the Pastors Masters and you're this fine Christian Pastors Masters
and nobody's
champion.
Watching and your ball more than oscillates.
Yep.
Then it's your integrity, right? Because yeah,
I believe you would say, I think it moved.
Yes. No, I've actually called an extra stroke on myself before. Wow. I've called a double hit penalty on myself. It's not a penalty anymore.
Can you just keep hitting. Double hit one? Bam, bam, because I'm good at that. I can do a trick show that includes that.
So
and you go bam, bam, and it's hard to do, but you can get good at it. So you're saying, because I saw this one on Facebook where some girl hit it there and then there
and chipped it backwards, and it was good.
Yeah, does that count? Can you do that?
I think there's something.
That'll be
there's rules and decisions. So I'm not sure how that would fly, but I think if you unintentionally double hit it, I think if you're doing it with intent, you're cheating.
That's what I thought. But I mean
darn it! See, that just deflated you. That just deflated you. Oh man, come on! You thought you. Hey, although I do think you should be able to understand the rules and use them to your advantage.
But not that one.
Not that one, but here's one I saw. I was actually caddying for Tyler in one of his professional events. I can't remember which one, but there was a rules official, and the way his ball was laying, he would have had to take a lefty swing.
All right.
Right? That was the most reasonable shot that he could take.
I would do it. Heck yeah.
Okay, but when he took his lefty stance, his foot ended up in a burrowing animal hole.
Free relief, yeah.
Free relief. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, that's not. So then after he got free relief, he was able to turn around and hit it right-handed.
See, now that's okay.
But that's what the rules official said, hey, because this was the reasonable shot that you would have hit, therefore, it's the only shot really he could have hit, therefore, because his lefty stroke ended up with his lefty stroke foot in a burrowing animal hole.
Arizona, gophers.
Gopher hole. Gopher hole. Gopher or pocket gopher, right? Yeah. So then he got to drop the ball and then pulled out his club and hit a right-handed shot and put it on the green. And I'm like, that doesn't seem. Guess who tries to use that rule every time he has a chance now? Every chance. But knowing the rules is important. Did you see recently Ricky Fowler? Did you see that rule? He was up against a chain link fence.
I did not get to watch it, but I knew he was in contention.
So it was interesting. So he hit his ball over the trees up against a chain link boundary fence, and it was like maybe an inch off, and it was like buried in thick stuff. And so right next to the fence.
Day 4?
No, I think this was 3. Okay. It was day 2 or 3.
All right.
But anyway, so he addressed the ball, and as he's addressing the ball. And look this up online because it was fascinating. He was standing on a cart path. And so he could take a drop. The fence marked out of bounds. And they weren't sure if the fence went under his ball. But he was like, I'm addressing this. I could hit it. They're like, well, but if there wasn't a cart path there, would you reasonably try to hit this? And he's like, I'm going to hit the shot. And the guy's like, well, it's not reasonable that you'd hit this shot. So therefore, you don't get a drop which would have taken him away from the fence. So then they brought over another official. The same thing. He's like, yeah, I'm not sure that it's reasonable that you'd hit this shot. And it's like, it was the only shot he had. Other than they said it was more reasonable that he would take a penalty stroke drop and go on the other side of the cart path.
Wow.
And of course, he hooded his club, hits a wedge up over trees and gets it back in play and made bogey. But it was fascinating because sometimes these rules don't make a lot of sense.
Wow. Yeah.
So anyway, another young man that I think has been open about his faith. So anyway,
No, back to the faith thing. I think the greatest thing is when you go through some things, you actually learn a lot of things, and through the things you learn, you actually gain a different type of compassion for people that are going through some things, whatever those things are. And it could be addiction, it could be affliction, addiction, trafficked victims, it could be homelessness, perhaps seemingly helplessness. All the people you see on the streets of Phoenix these days, it's amazing. It's a growing population.
Yeah.
And you really, and then when you do a little bit of prison ministry, which I've gotten to do a little bit, it's pretty amazing how many really fine, amazing people are living their life out in prison.
Yes.
And unless some great act of God happens to get them another chance at life. But there's so many people struggling in the world, and when you're in those situations, they're all looking for answers. They're looking for help. They're looking to find, how am I going to get out of them? How am I going to? What do I have to? There's no reason to live. But then they're back to the but God thing. Wow. And then they actually become the most amazing Christian people, whether it's men or women, because they've been through a lot, and then they have a different type of compassion for people who've been through a lot. Yeah. People that haven't been through too much because they kind of made it through life pretty good. And I was one of them for a lot of years. then it's hard to, you feel bad for the poor people, and man, what's wrong with those people?
But you don't have empathy. But once you've been there, right? Because around COVID, you ended up
in a deep, dark place.
You were in a dark place, and you were on the streets and seeing firsthand what it's like.
There's a lot of great people out there that people have given up on them.
Correct.
And eventually they
correct. And people walk by and they don't see Kent Chase, the former PGA player, the 5-time top 50 first U.S. Kids International Master Instructor. They don't see the guy that was putting people on tour. They just, a lot of people say, oh, there's that bum trying to panhandle for money.
There you go.
Right? He just wants drugs. He's just like we all have these preconceived notions of what that's like, and I know you have a lot more empathy because you were there for a minute.
And when I was there for a minute, you don't really have a lot of great friends, especially if you've been around the world a little bit, especially if you've written a nice couple of books and they're published, and you get to profess your faith with Jesus Is My Mulligan book, and especially when that makes it into the media and the other countries, and they love you because you made your comeback, and it's a really good spot because you made it, and then thank you, Jesus, and then you fail again. Now, people that did forgive you for your problems before, well, here you go again. And a lot of people that, if you've ever been on the streets or been in a jail, you're going to find out not a lot of people have a lot of empathy for them because they're repeat offenders, whatever it is that they've done.
Right.
So they're and then they are kind of hopeless because there's no, who is a person like that supposed to go get help from? And fortunately, there is something called prison ministry, and there is street ministry, and there is the Pastor Wald's just
Church on the Street.
Church on the Street. His heart goes out in the dream centers. The hearts go out to these struggling people, and then there is a way. And if it isn't for God, then what is it? Where do you lay your hope on? And then they tell you to have faith. Well, first you gotta have a purpose to gain this thing called faith, and you can't just start reading the Bible and gaining all this faith because you've been in too many bad places. So anyway, the long story short is people like Scotty Scheffler are willing to profess their faith right now. Yeah, the worst he ever did was get an unfair ticket taking a shortcut at the Masters because of the traffic delay. But what a great man!
Absolutely. I appreciate people that they're real, that unashamed and transparent, knowing that. Like I always tell any of the kids we coach or the kids we work with, anybody we're discipling, I always tell them people are watching. I think there's two types of people that watch. I think there's people that watch us as Christians and they really want us to succeed, whether they're Christians or not. I think there's even people in the world that say, man, that's something different and something that looks better, and I hope they're successful. And then there's another group that's watching because they're just waiting to go, aha, gotcha, you said you're a Christian, look at you cursed, you flipped a club, you drug a police officer.
You're
trying to get you to stop when you're coming into the Masters.
Wow.
And that was a big thing. And I even though I always tell them people are watching, so be careful. People are always watching.
Are always seeing you.
But imagine the level of scrutiny that these, especially today with all the social media, with the cameras, with ESPN, with the scrutiny that they're under, not just to perform as an athlete, but now they've said, okay, I'm going to wear the Christian badge. So not only am I going to get the scrutiny as an athlete, but now they have to almost walk a letter of perfection. Like people are expecting them to be like, we should be Christ-like.
Right.
But we're going to sin and fall, and people, hopefully there's more people hoping that they're successful and then having grace when we fall down, because it's the plank in the span.
But listen to this. So those viral videos professing my faith, can you imagine 13.7 million on Instagram are catching?
How's your forehead? You're talking about your David and Goliath shot?
And then other ones too now are going viral. So now, and then Facebook too, and then they comment, and a lot of the comments are, why do you have to put God, and why do you use why are you talking about Jesus in your why don't you just get that part? But a lot of people, majority wise, are saying thank you for professing your faith. More and more are so more people are for Scottie Scheffler professing his faith, even though they know he's fallen short of the glory of God. Yeah. Even though he agrees and admits that all are sinners and have fallen short of the glory of God. But he doesn't walk around needing to tell everybody that, because they believe in him. He's got some fans. He's got spectators. So when you're doing something really good like Steph Curry or like him, you've got people wanting to catch the vision of how your Christian walk.
Yeah.
And that's what they're catching. So that's the kind of thing that impresses me about those kind of people. Even though we know they might sin, I mean, they will.
They're going to. We're all going to. But we're trying to uphold a higher standard.
And they're willing to state.
And they're willing to unashamedly stand out there and put that out for the world to see. And say, hold us accountable. So yeah. Well, congratulations to Scottie Scheffler.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Scottie Scheffler.
That was winning a championship, a major. That's a big deal. He is absolutely the best in the business. It's good to see the number one player on tour, unashamed about his faith. There will be people that he brings to Christ because he's willing to talk about. And
Scottie, I hope you see this. We love you, man.
Yeah, we do. We love you, Scottie. We appreciate you. We appreciate your faith walk, and keep it up. And if you're ever in Phoenix, Sun City, come do a Pros and Joes episode. We would love to interview you.
At the GPS.
Can you make that happen,
yes.
Ken? You know everybody.
I know everybody except I haven't met
Scottie Scheffler.
Yes.
Well, we'll have to try and figure that out.
School of Golf at the GPS Learning Center.
Yes.
It's a big thing, and we're going to grow this around the world big time.
Yes. Get some lessons from this guy. Book a lesson. You need his help. I promise you that the instruction, the training you'll get from Ken Chase.
Or other people, because I could teach him a better dance.
Listen, Scottie Scheffler. Do not call Ken Chase. Do not call Ken Chase.
He's in charge of his ball.
You don't need a guy. You need a guy like me as a hype man, but no one is going to wreck your swing.
Yes, you'll be supporting great causes when you come and learn at this GPS Learning Center.
Yeah. Kids around the world. Again, shout out to Sun City Country Club, Tom Legering, Janet Craven. She is anyway. Book some lessons. Get some help from Kent Chase. Go online, Kent Chase Golf Schools or golfps.org and
KentChaseGolf.org.
KentChaseGolf.org, or just shoot a Facebook, Instagram, any of the social media where you see Kent Chase doing amazing things, hitting himself in the forehead.
That's not Kent Chase Golf, I think.
Kent Chase Golf. It's all over the world. You're on all the stuff. So
and he's the one that started this rumor about David and Goliath, because I hit the ball, it ricocheted, hit the wrong things, and came back and got me in that on Goliath. So I did it, and I took it, David and Goliath. You got to check it out. It's pretty funny.
All right. Well, there we go. We're back after this, after a few week layoff. So thank you for your patience. Like, share, subscribe.
Pros and Joes.
Pros and Joes. We
but he's a
hey,
good Joe.
hey, I'm a good Joe.
You're a low handicap player.
Joe, no, I'm
You're
not.
like
No.
You should be a 2 or 1
We'll
or
talk
something.
about that. I need some help. I'm up to double digits again. So I desperately need your help. All right, Ken Chase.
Thank you, Brendan.
Thank you.
Love you.
See you guys next
You're
week.
awesome.
Love you too.
Thank you. Appreciate it.